Hey guys, it's Saturday and we got a little project here in the shop. This is Murph, the 85 Westfalia. And today we're going to be giving Murph a little wheel upgrade. We actually had someone call us off of our YouTube channel probably a year and a half ago, and was telling us about this particular bus that was owned by a guy by the name of Murphy. And that's why the bus is named Murph. He lived up in the Coeur d'Alene area, about an hour north of Coeur d'Alene. Was it Priest River, right?
Priest River.
Priest River. And so anyways, guy's son called us and told us about it. And it was not something that I was in the market for, but my friend Ed over here was in the market. And Ed made a deal on it and actually drove up there, picked it up, and drove it home. So today what we're going to be doing, if you look here, you can see up here on the front's riding actually almost 2 inches higher than the rear. I think 1 7/8. In fact, let me grab a tape measure and we'll do a quick measurement on it so we can do a before and after. Don't know what I did with my tape. There it is. We're going to be installing, these are not like your typical Go Westy spacers. These are some spacers that were sourced from a top secret location. Thanks to Carl at Teton Van Works for the tip on that. Let's run back around here and I'll get a measurement on this thing. So again, there's the front. 29 7/8. Back to the back, we are at exactly 28. So 1 7/8 lower on the rear. We want to bring that up and try to get as level as possible. We're going to try those spacers. I'll just give you a quick show you the difference between the spacers we're going to use. These are your standard Go Westy spacers. They're about 1/4 inch. There's the spacers we're using that are 3/4 of an inch. That should get us pretty close to level. Then once we get those on, we're going to be swapping out the 195. I believe these are a 185 R14. So just the kind of the stock size. We're going to be swapping those out for a little bit of this action right here. Got some Method wheels, an ET30. And then we're doing a 215 65 R16. That ends up being, do you know what that is? About 27 inches?
27, yeah.
Yeah. Like a 27, probably the 27 950.
Yeah.
So, doing a set of those all the way around. Have some custom center caps. That will be stalling on there. Ed had those printed. Who printed these?
Eric Williams.
Eric Williams, your nephew?
My nephew.
Okay.
Yes.
So this will actually allow, once we get them on, we'll show you what we're dealing with, but the stock center cap is just this end right here. But because of the front dust caps and the rear axle, needed to space it out. So again, when we get there, we'll show you that a little bit more. Also, extended rear studs for the back and front lug bolts for the front. So I'm going to get this thing up on jacks. Wasn't able to throw it on the lift today because I got a Subaru that's being kind of ornery. And I didn't quite get it off the lift in time, so we're just going to do this one on the floor. But let's get after it. Okay, rear spring pads. We're just undoing the shock. That allows this arm to drop down. Then we just need to pry the arm down far enough to lift this spring up over this perch on the bottom here. Looks like it could use some new pads down here. There. About done. Okay, we got our new spacer in. It was a little tight sliding on here. Use a little carbon choke cleaner. Makes the rubber nice and gummy, and then actually kind of locks it in place so it's easier to work with. Now we just gotta pop the spring back. All right, guys, I had to cheat a little bit. Having a hard time with one person prying this arm down and getting this spring in now with, if you can see, it's actually got 2 spacers there. This thing probably needs some new springs. So I had to bust out some old school tools here and yeah, we got it done though. That was awkward. So like I said before, the center on these new spacers just doesn't want to slide on there. So a little bit of carbon choke cleaner. There we go. Pop this guy off. Pop that back on after I get done compressing the spring. I promise if you guys have an extra set of hands, or at least you're more talented than I am, you can do this with a couple of pry bars. Usually these go in pretty easy, but looks like we've already got one pad up here and now a second one. So we are spaced out an inch back here, which should be pretty nice ride height, I should say. Really what we should be doing probably is replacing these springs. These are pretty tired, but I'm sure that's on his list. But for now, this is gonna get us done. All right, let me, basically at this point now, I gotta get the shock back up. I gotta get the shock back up in here. I'm just gonna come in with a jack under this arm, lift it up. Make sure as you're doing that, what's gonna happen is this shock's gonna start compressing. So you're gonna keep putting weight on it. So just watch that shock, extend it fully. If you look there, we've only gotta go about 2 or 2.5 inches. So just keep an eye on that. If that starts, you know, if that starts compressing, you can stop with the jack and just wiggle this up in there. Let's give it a try. last thing you want to do is put too much pressure on this arm and lift the van up off of your jack stands. So, you know, as we start going, you can see it's compressing here. So you can just kind of pull that up into place, line it up. You can take this off top or bottom. Top's just easier because it's got the speed nut on the back. 19 millimeter. See, we already kind of had some of the weight off of the van. Now we're just gonna come in here, line this guy up. If you want, you can give this a little shot of kind of clean that up, and then actually the carbon choke cleaner helps. Oh my gosh. Probably should stop and do a second take on this, but I can tell the girls all the time, this is one take. One take, and there we go. We'll edit that out later. Make it look good, make it look like I know what the heck I'm doing. Okay, so next thing we gotta do, let me grab a stud here and I'll show you. Okay. Whew, I'm a little out of breath because I just got done wailing on this thing with a hammer. Ball peen hammer in between each of the studs there. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to show you this new stud. So the steel wheels are obviously thinner material where they bolt on, you know, probably like so actually. The aluminum wheels are probably at least double, if not 3 times that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here with this, with a new stud. We're just going to beat these each out, just push them straight in, and you can see there's this little knurled mark. And that knurled mark, if you look here, right there, you can kind of see it peeking through on the edge here. So what we were going to do then is we're going to take these and put them in behind. We're just going to put a lug nut and a couple of washers on there, and then we're going to suck it in and do that on all of them, so that then we've got not only new studs but the correct length studs for aluminum wheels. The front on the two-wheel drive is easy because it's bolts. The rear has lug nuts, so we've got to put these new flanges on, or new studs on the flange. Let's get after that. Okay, so just carefully just gonna tap those out, reach down in, fish them out, and just keep doing that so you've got them all out of there. I'd fish them out each time so that you don't end up with a whole bunch of them down in there. Once we got those fished out, we grab our new ones. I use a magnet. Come in here like so. Maybe. kind of have to find the sweet spot where you can get in behind the brake hardware. Sweet spot was obviously not where I had it. Sweet spot's down a little farther, but I think we got it figured out now. Okay, so we get it to this point. Then we need a couple of large washers. They go on over here. We're gonna use just a stock lug nut. I'm gonna bring that on. To about there. As tight as you can get it by hand. And we're just gonna suck it in. Like so. If we look at this side, you can see our little knurled marks are starting to protrude there on the flange. Come over to this side. You're probably going to see that this side's a little farther through. But once I get them all kind of sucked in for the most part, when we torque the wheels, I mean, you could go ahead and try to torque them by hand right now. Or once we torque the wheels on, it's gonna suck those through the rest of the way. And then obviously you're gonna wanna torque the wheels a couple of times within the first, 50 miles or so. I lost my impact battery on my impact just as it was starting to pull it in, so we'll try to suck it in just a little bit more. We should be able to get them pretty dang close with an impact. But I can't find my 4 amp hour battery from my Ryobi right now, so I'm just using this little guy. Anyway, might just have to bust out the pneumatic impact. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that with the rest of these right now. I'm gonna go around, there's no sense really recording that, you just saw me do it. I'm gonna do the rest of these, flip over to the other side, do the other side, and then we just go back on with the drum. We do not replace these 2 bolts that hold the drum to the flange. Those will get in the way of any other wheels other than stock. Even if you run like Jetta 15s, these are gonna get in your way. So we don't use those. Those don't go back on. So let's throw the rest of these studs on. Yeah, that Karat's it's pretty fun van. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, snug them up with the gun and we can torque them and put it down. Whoa! Garage sale. Okay, we got this thing all wrapped up. Let's walk out here and check it out. Stance is much better. Almost level. Not quite, but pretty dang close. Let's check our tape measure. I don't remember what my measurements were now. Let's start with the front. So we are 30 5/8. Rear, we're 30 1/8. So we're still a little bit low on the back, but we're a lot closer to level than we were to begin with. Seems like to begin with we were like 1 7/8, almost a full 2 inches lower in the back. So springs are definitely the next thing on the list for this for Murph. But man, the look is these wheels look great. These center caps are amazing. Those are 3D printed. Basically, where the axle sticking out, this outer edge here, you can see that's the original method wheel center cap. Then this is all 3D printed right here. So the center caps were done by Brandon Moore and Eric Williams at Eccentric Metalworks. They did the spacers, 3D printed the spacers for the center caps. T3 Technique, Christopher at T3 Technique just did a ton of consulting back and forth with Ed, helping him figure out what would work, spacing and whatnot. I think I mentioned earlier that these are an ET30, which ET is, my German's not so bueno, but it's basically short for a German word that literally means depth of insertion or insertion. So that's an offset type thing, but ET30 is the offset for the wheels. The tires came from Summit Racing, and then Billy Hayes over at John Adams GMC mounted up the tires for Ed. The wheels, the method wheels, came from Custom Wheelhouse in California, right? Yes. And I think that's it. I think I mentioned everybody. He wanted me to mention some guy named Jeremy at Volkswear, but I don't know. I'm not going to give that guy a shout out. So anyways, there it is. I'm digging it. The black on the brown looks awesome. Thing just looks great. I don't know, I don't think I did mention where the tires came from, but maybe I mentioned earlier, these are a general grabber. I think I did mention that. They're kind of a they look the tread pattern's real similar. They're an all-terrain, real similar to like the BFG all-terrains. which again, the size on those is a 215 65 R16. Pretty tight up top, but it actually, they fit really well. The whole package came together really well. They look great. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we can get some more videos coming at you really soon. We'll catch you later.